I wanted to give a belated happy birthday to the captain of Team Canada's World Junior squad himself, Mr. Backhander 2-0 goal Shane Wright. And this is also a very good belated birthday present because after Wright and Team Canada ended up winning the gold medal yesterday against the Czechs, you had yourselves the news today that the Seattle Kraken have sent Wright down to the Kingston Frontenacs in the OHL. Now, this move is one that I actually think is great. Not because, Wright is a bad player and he doesn't belong in the NHL. It's not because he's not skilled. It's not because he's not talented. It's because this falls perfectly in line with the plan the Seattle Kraken had, seemingly from day one. Because Shane Wright, if you follow the timeline of this player in the National Hockey League so far, he played last season in Kingston, was a beast over there, although I will admit he was not as much of a beast as people thought he would have been able to be. He only had 94 points in 63 games played, not near the same caliber of point production as guys like McDavid and whatever in the past, but Wright had himself a year off in the OHL. The season did not begin in 2020-2021, and so having a slight decline in his next year's production is okay in my opinion. He got drafted 4th overall by Seattle and he played only a few games with the Kraken. He has 8 games played in total on the year. After getting scratched for 2 weeks as a member of the Kraken, he was able to get sent down to the Coachella Valley Firebirds because if you sit out for 2 weeks straight, that is enabling your eligibility for the AHL, so he went over for a conditioning stint over there. That took place at the end of November, start of December, and once he got called back up, he played a game against Montreal, scored his first National Hockey League goal, and then got sent over to the World Junior Camp. That was on December 14th. Ever since then, Team Canada did their things. They played a few games. They won the gold medal. It's whatever. Shane Wright had a backhand goal that was beautiful. He finished up the World Juniors with a modest 7 points in 7 games played. Now, sure, he did not have the same Connor Bedard-like production like some of the other guys had. But for Wright himself, he played a solid two-way game. He was a domineering presence. He went out there and played the right way. Pun not intended. I didn't even realize that I said that, but Wright was overall such a solid hockey player that didn't need to get on the scoreboard in order for you to see how well he was able to produce. In fact, this is the Elite Prospects game scores from day 9 of the World Juniors. All data was manually tracked by Mitch Brown and Lassi Alanen. Shane Wright had the highest game score on the final day of the World Juniors with a 2.38. And just in case you needed to know, game score is a volume-based metric that assigns weight to shots, shot assists, entries, exits, and breakups. Shane Wright was just a great hockey player all around, and he was the captain because of it. He saw that leadership time in and time out during the World Juniors, and now he gets to exhibit that leadership back in the OHL. Except, most likely not for Kingston. Here's a tweet from Frank Saravelli talking about the situation with Shane Wright heading back to the OHL after captaining Team Canada to first at the World Juniors. Expect a trade from Kingston to materialize. Frontrunners appear to be Barrie and Peterborough, but you can't count out Ottawa, London, or North Bay. Huge piece for a playoff run. The reason we say it like that is because if you go over to the OHL and their standings right now, Ottawa, London, and North Bay are all doing much better this season than Kingston. This would give Wright the opportunity to play on a better team, have himself a little bit more of a diversified role. And the reason that's important as well is because part of the conversations that were starting up as to why the Kraken wouldn't send Wright down to the OHL in the first place was because Kingston just kind of relied on Wright to do everything. He wasn't really able to expand too much on his offensive game because he was so focused on being the most important player for this team every other shift pretty much. Wright was an absolute beast, and that kind of was the reason they were able to rely on him so much. Getting a trade over to another OHL team that's a lot more stacked than Kingston will help Wright out, and that it will allow him to actually focus more so on developing offense. Also, this helps out Kingston because they're going to be able to trade right away and get themselves a huge package in return. Multiple picks, another player who is a lot younger. This will be really good for Kingston. Waiting until now to send Wright down does a few things. Firstly, it kind of doesn't really put Wright in a position to stagnate a little bit as a member of the Frontenacs, because if he played the whole year, he probably would have exhibited the same sort of season as last year, although with probably a lot higher expectations. Instead, Wright got a cup of coffee at the National Hockey League, he played in the AHL where he was a really good goal scorer, he played at the World Juniors, and the Kraken are able to send him down to the OHL, most likely to a team that's not Kingston, without burning the first year of his ELC. He only played 8 games, excuse me. He didn't even play the full 9. He had 8 games played, and he'll be going back down to the OHL, and assuming he finishes the season in the OHL, he does not play another NHL game for the rest of the year, it means that his entry-level contract will slide to expiring in 2026 rather than 2025. And honestly, when you think about it like this, with this being so clearly the plan from day one, it appears now, it's a lot more understandable why the Wright family, why Wright himself, and everybody involved in the process, you had Ron Francis and everything, like, talking about Wright and the plan and how they have this thing going on that they didn't really explain too much in the media. They all just said, oh, he's got to play more. He's got to play more minutes. And then he didn't play more minutes. And we were kind of questioning, why are they saying that? And why is he not playing minutes? And why is he okay with this? Turns out this was the plan. NHL cup of coffee, AHL cup of coffee, World Juniors, back to the OHL, most likely with a different team other than Kingston because they rely on him too much. Now he can focus on his offense, and the Kraken don't burn off a year of that ELC. It is perfect. And we kind of talked about this plan earlier in the month, like before Shane Wright got sent back down. Not down, but like sent over to the World Junior Camp, we kind of said that was sort of the plan that was shaping up here, or at least that's what it appeared to be. NHL, AHL, World Juniors, and then the OHL. Now Shane Wright, all he's got to do is go back to the OHL, dominate once again, because you know he's going to do that against kids his age, and then he'll come over to the NHL, most likely as a full-time guy, and this actually works out really well for the Kraken and their own development right here, because with the emergence of Eli Tolvanen, or Eli Tolvanen, I guess, depending on who you ask, it kind of holds back whatever NHL time you would be able to give to Wright, assuming you kept him up and didn't send him down in the first place. Now he's got freedom to actually play, actually dominate, and the Kraken are no worse for wear in the process. So this is a beautiful plan. I love it. Whether it's Peterborough or Barrie or London or North Bay, there's going to be a really good kind of transaction here. Kingston's going to be set up really nicely because of it, so any of the Frontenacs fans that are out there, hey, this is kind of the best case scenario because Wright has already been playing away from your team the entire time. Now you get the rights to him back, you can trade him away, you can get a whole bunch of stuff, and it's not really like your team got worse or better in the immediate future. Of course, long term, more picks and more younger guys is going to help you out, but depending on what type of player you get back in return, as well as the draft picks, you might actually be helping yourselves out a lot more than if Wright played in Kingston for the remainder of the season and then just yeeted over to Seattle next year too. So talk to the comments your thoughts about the plan coming to fruition here. The Seattle Kraken making it known that their plan actually did have a lot of substance behind it, and it gives Shane Wright such a great opportunity for development as he had spent time in all of the major leagues before going back down to the OHL. Did we mention he also won a gold medal too? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.